Oh yeah, party people, it's about that time. Once again, we are here about to watch The Hateful Eight. I got two shots. My little buddy right here. We're about to go in. Watch The Hateful Eight. The newest movie from apparently super controversial director Quentin Tarantino. Yes. This is, I guess, an on-time review for the rest of the country. Kind of late review for me because I live in LA and this thing opened like last week, but I couldn't get to it because of holiday obligations and work and shit. But here we are. We're getting to it now. The Hateful Eight. Ooh. About to see what all the fuss is about. It's tequila, by the way. Again, you don't think I really drink on this shit? Yes, we do. Ringing the new year right, baby. Let's go. Party people, and the place to be. What's going on? It's me. I just left The Hateful Eight. Spoiler alert, everybody dies. Spoiler alert, it's really The Hateful 10. If you're counting, for you math freaks at home. I hope you can actually see me. Hold on. I want to make sure that you can actually see. Okay, I'm guessing that you can actually see me. I'm just going to hold the camera like this the entire way. You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of there was a proposed skit in Lord God Sorkin's TV show called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip that was Quentin Tarantino's Turkey Won't Die.
It's about a mortally wounded turkey that won't die even while being served.
This reminds me of what that skit probably looked like. Holy fuck. Shitload of blood. Whole lot of cursing. Let me spoiler alert the fuck out of this right now, and tell you, first off, that is 2 hours and 45 minutes. It feels like 2.5 or so. It feels like it's over 2. There's about 10, maybe 15 minutes that could have been trimmed from the beginning of this. But, it felt like one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of Westerns, at least in the beginning, which is a lot of boring shit. It's a lot of boredom of nothingness. And that's kind of how it sets up. It's really slow build. Now, once it ramps up, it ramps the fuck up, but the build is a little slow. They could have trimmed 10 to 15 minutes out of this, Quentin. So sorry. What was I saying? Bloody as fuck. Oh, spoiler alert, again, if you are a bleeding heart liberal, if you are a feminist, if you are pro-black, if you are super duper duper liberal, everybody must be nice to each other, safe space kind of person, don't go see this movie. Do not go see this movie. There are racist comments. There are sexist comments. There is the hitting of a woman habitually in this fucking movie. And if that irks you to the point where you can't understand it and there's no ever excuse for it, even in the storytelling, how dare there even be a story where that happens, then just go see Inside Out again. Like, this ain't your movie. For me, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. You gotta, if you've ever seen a Quentin Tarantino movie and you know Quentin Tarantino's style sometimes, how brutal this shit can be to fucking everybody, alright? There are white people in this movie who get beat the fuck up, shot the fuck up, every fucking thing. So let's get down to the Hateful 10, alright? We start off, the opening scene is the scene that we basically saw in the trailer, where Sam L is trying to get a ride on the coach, yada yada. You saw the trailer, you saw the scene. Kurt Russell's there. Kurt Russell's character is basically exposition man. That's basically all he is exposition man. He goes around, introduces himself to everybody in the cabin, or at least everybody he sees in the cabin, to make sure that he's better acquainted with them, so that he knows who the fuck they are. So that, he tries to get the bounty on the chick, Jennifer Jason Leigh, so that he's not, being held up or anything like that, so that he feels safe around the people that he's holed up in the cabin with. let's see. Sam L is Sam Elling it the fuck up. You know, he's not doing a whole lot of motherfuckers, but you know, he's being Mr. Badass and all the other shit in this film, like he is in a lot of other films. Jennifer Jason Leigh plays just a down, dirty cowpoke of a chick. She is just rough and tumble. She ain't no lady. Don't you dare insult her by calling her one, because she ain't one. And she knows it, and everybody else knows it in the film. Let's see. We're met with the stagecoach driver, who's a different guy. Let's see. It's one of these movies that I don't. Michael Madsen's in it. I feel like Michael Madsen's role, like Mike Madsen isn't really a Western dude, and he's clearly ain't a Western dude. I don't buy his accent. He's clearly being Michael Madsen in this Western. He's not necessarily being this character. He's clearly being Michael Madsen. Kurt Russell's, all right, let's go with the performances. Kurt Russell's performance is great. The stagecoach driver's performance is great. The credits say Channing Tatum is in this movie, and he's not for at least a good half, if not maybe more than that. I would say 60% of this movie, Channing Tatum ain't in the movie. There's a bit where somebody's narrating something, and you're like, is Channing Tatum the narrator? But even then, the narration, sorry for the flash, the narration only comes up for 5-10 minutes, like not even 10 minutes in this film. Like, who's the narrator and why do we have a narration? And then Channing Tatum makes his debut because he was hiding under the floorboards of this cabin. I'm gonna hide you here because I'm driving too. Of this cabin, in which he shoots Sam L. Jackson in the Sam L. Oh, there's a lot of graphic shit in here too. There's this old dude who's sitting there. We have no idea why the fuck he's sitting there. He's supposed to be a former Confederate general, former Rebel Army general, right? And he and this other guy who's in this cabin, who looks a lot like fucking Frank Grimes from The Walking Dead. I don't know if that was Frank Grimes from The Walking Dead. Matter of fact, hold on. Okay, so this sheriff, can you see me? So this sheriff, I'm trying to do this, but not get caught doing this on the road. The sheriff is this guy. You know what? Here's a fucked up thing about 3-hour movies. I went to this fucking thing at 2:30, hoping to be out while it was still light, so I could do this and not anyway. So the sheriff, who looks a lot like Rick Grimes, I said Frank Grimes, is fucking Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. So Dollar Store Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead is a rebel. Is the son of a former rebel leader, and Sam L. Jackson irks the ire of both these Southern gentlemen, of both these Confederate soldiers, and the old Confederate soldier, the general. At one point, Sam L. Jackson goes on a 20-minute tangent about how he met the Confederate general's son, who apparently was only there so that he could get the headstone for his missing, presumed dead son. And in doing so, Sam L. talks about how he knew his son and how he found his son because Sam L. Jackson was such a fucking killer. He burned down a former rebel prison that held him there, that had Sam L. Jackson as a prisoner of war, and how he disrespected the general because the general decided he was going to shoot Union soldiers just because they were black, just based on the color of their skin, and how Sam L. Jackson's character really only wanted to shoot and kill honkies, and that was the whole thing, and that generated the heat between the two of them. And Sam L. Jackson sits down and talks to the general leader about how he found his son, who was trying to come up the mountain to kill him because there was a $50,000 bounty on his head for killing all of those white folks. And Sam L. Jackson found him, and his son was begging for his life, and not only begging for his life, he was begging for his life so much that Sam L. had him stripped naked and walk for 2 hours in the snow, cold snow, Colorado. And I gotta put you right here. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that, party people. Yeah, so Sam L. Jackson talks about how he had the general's son in the snow, butt-ass naked. in the snow, begging for his life. And at a certain point, the general's son wasn't even begging for his life anymore. He was just begging for a blanket. Samuel Jackson decided he was going to make him suffer for killing all the black folks that he did in that war, just because they were black, and or just because they were niggers. You see, that word was thrown around. If you're not comfortable with that word, just come on, fuck Quentin Tarantino. So he decides he's going to whip out his Big Black Johnson, and it's at this point that this movie takes one of quite a few turns. And at that point, Samuel Jackson's talking about and basically just verbalizing, and it's a scene where you see this old kind of historic fear that fueled a lot of racism, white towards black, historically. The story / myth / legend / sometimes, rooted in some kind of truth at some point, but not really. Like all these fucking legends that tend to have lives of their own, where Samuel Jackson talks about whipping out his Big Black Johnson and making this general's son suck his dick. And he goes into graphic detail talking about how, because he beat up the son, his mouth had blood in it, so it was nice and warm. And you could see the general's face turn white, and the fear and hysteria and panic and despair and distress and any negative emotion on his it's so disturbing. It's so fucking disturbing, the detail that Samuel goes into, and the look of sheer horror on this man's face. And you're like I know it's like, that's kind of been like how a lot of this racism and stuff has kind of been rooted in that. A lot of the times is this hysteria and horror at the idea of the big black dick. It's fucking illustrated right there on the screen. And if you think that there wasn't a scene where this general's son was bare ass naked in the snow, you're fucking wrong. We don't see Samuel Jackson's dick, but the way he describes it, we don't need to at this point. Boy oh boy, that was one fucking scene. Kurt Russell beats the shit out of Jennifer Jason Leigh's character many times, like beats her over the head with the gun, like very beginning. Like, we're talking super early on, he beats shit out of her because he has no respect for her and the shit that he's done and the shit that she's done, allegedly, reportedly, right? At a certain point, it's like, you think, I wonder if this payoff is going to be, maybe she didn't really do it, or some kind of sympathy towards her just because she's a woman. Nope. There's no sympathy towards her just because she's a woman. None. This character does not get off because she's a woman. She was a cold-blooded killer. She was a member of this Western gang, a high-ranking member. Channing Tatum was her brother. The whole thing was set up to try to free her from the hangman's noose. That was the whole point of going to this cabin and killing as many people as they did, and in the gruesome ways that they did, in trying to get her back. And she is a part of this bloodthirsty gang. That was the whole fucking point. She was not fucking innocent. Tain't nobody in this movie fucking innocent except for, now where they are, this place is supposed to be Millie's Haberdashery or something. I think Millie's Haberdashery. I think her name is Millie. And they're the only ones that seem to be innocent, are the people who initially ran this joint, which you see somewhere in the middle. Millie, this pretty thick, pretty comma thick black, nice black woman, right? And her cousin or somebody, and then Sweet Dave or whatever, all sitting there. Now, before all this happens, Samuel Jackson is already suspicious as soon as he walks in, because I guess he really knows Millie and all them, and knew that they wouldn't just abandon the joint, so he's already got that in his head, and you kind of already get that in your head. But she's sweet, right? And these four guys come up It's Tim Roth's character, and Tim Roth, again, just a great performance because it's Tim fucking Roth. How do you not get a good performance out of him? Michael Madsen's it up a lot. Like, I just couldn't help but see his character from fucking Reservoir Dogs in here. Channing Tatum and who the fuck else? Oh, the Mexican guy. They call him Mexican Bob or whatever. I forget what his real name was, or like Miguel. I'm not being racist. I fucking forget his name because like they only mention his real name because they only mention it once. He goes by Bob for most of the movie. Now, the whole setup is everybody in that cabin is just as sweet as they want to be until these four guys come in, basically just to case the joint so they can set up, so they can steal this female gang member back, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, Domagru or some shit, whatever her fucking name was, back. Oh my god, they brutally, everybody who dies fucking brutally, and everybody fucking dies. Let's just start off that way. Everybody fucking dies. At some point in this movie, the coffee that they've been drinking is spiked, right? Somebody poisons the coffee that they drink, and who poisoned the coffee? I believe it was, who fucking poisoned the coffee? I think it was Madsen's character. I think it was Madsen's character that poisoned the fucking coffee, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Madsen's character. But you don't see who poisoned it. Domagru, or whatever the fuck her name was, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, sees who poisoned the coffee. And the reason we know the coffee was poisoned is because there was a little narrative by the narrator. That was a little part that was narrated. And because three people who got a cup of coffee, 2 people who drank it after it was poisoned. Kurt Russell's character drank it, and his driver drank it. They start coughing up straight up blood and guts after the first round of blood. Now, Kurt Russell's lashed himself on to Jennifer Jason Leigh. She tries to escape. They wrestle somewhere on the ground. Kurt Russell grotesquely coughs up insides on top of her, right into her fucking mouth as she's laughing at him dying. It's fucking graphic. This is what I'm talking about. Turkey won't die. It's fucking graphic. They die from the poison. Sam L. Jackson then lines up the rest of them on the wall, and he starts into a monologue that's about 20 minutes long or so. I think it's fucking long. He's got a couple of long monologues in this movie, long stretches of him talking with occasional interruptions here or there in this movie. This is one of them, and as he's standing there, he goes around, he's standing there at some point, and I think he stands like over the hatch where Channing Tatum is, say goodbye to your huevos, blasts his fucking nuts off. Pretty sure that's how he dies in this movie. He lives for a long time up until the end, but you know he's going to die from the injuries because it's the old fucking West, for God's sake, and he just got his nuts shot the fuck off. He's dying, all right? Yeah, he's fucking dying. Fake Rick Grimes in the middle of all this. Dollar store Rick Grimes in the middle of all this gets shot in the fucking leg. I'm pretty sure there's an artery there that once you get shot there, you're gonna die, and I'm pretty sure he probably got shot in that one, but he lives near the end of the movie. Channing Tatum gives up from this fucking cellar because they say they're gonna shoot his sister in the head. Now, for half a second, I thought they were gonna go incest here because they went through a whole lot of shit to try to get their sister out. For half a second, I'm like, oh god, they're gonna go super incest on this one, and they kind of look like it because when he pops his head out, they give each other kind of a look like, oh, they're not just brother and sister. But before we go any further, Sam L. shoots Channing Tatum's back of the head off. Clean the fuck off by Channing Tatum. He's gone. If you love Channing Tatum, thinks he's the sexiest man in America, don't go see this movie because Turkey won't die. That's going to be the subtitle of this when I put it up. Just Turkey won't die. That's all the fuck you need to know. If you watch Cheeto 60, fucking Turkey won't die. Jennifer Jason Leigh goes into this monologue. She's trying to reason for her life. She's saying she's got 15 other gang members at Red Rock. That's the town they're supposed to go into, waiting for her to get released. And if they're not shot, like if they just spare them their lives, right, And they give them the nigger, quote unquote, which is Samuel Jackson, who's got $50,000 bounty on his head, to fake Frank Grimes, who at this point is one of the only ones that are still alive. Then, you know, they'll be, oh, and at this point, while she's giving this, Tim Roth's been shot, but Michael Madsen has it, because I think they think that Tim Roth poisoned the coffee. But Michael Madsen is sitting at a table that has been rigged with a gun, and he's waiting to shoot everybody. There's another big fucking shootout. Tim Roth gets another bullet in the belly, but still lives. So for 5 or 10 more minutes, while Jennifer Jason Leigh is arguing with Dollar Store Frank Grimes and Sam Jackson, and Michael Madsen's been shot to death, just blast, to death. Tim Roth is doing the greatest fucking soap opera death scene over by the fireplace. It's fucking fantastic. He's dying a slow, painful death, and you can hear little chuckles, because not only will Turkey won't die, Tim Roth won't die either. Oh god, so fake Frank Grimes was going to shoot Jennifer Jason Leigh, because the Dollar Store Frank Grimes, Rick Grimes, Dollar Store Walking Dead dude, was gonna kill her because she knew that the coffee was spiked, and he was gonna drink the fucking coffee, but he didn't. And so Sam Jackson's like, wait a minute, Kurt Russell's character saved your life, told you the coffee was spiked, so the least we could do is honor his memory of the hangman and make sure that this bitch dies by the rope. So they string her up, and they fucking rope her up, and as they're both trying to pull that rope, because they're both brutally, probably fatally dying on the fucking bed, they pull that rope, and you see Jennifer Jason Leigh's eyes turn black, or are black. She's probably got the black contact lenses in, and you can see her choking to death and dying. Now, mind you, in all this, 99 Cent Store Rick Grimes lost a lot of blood, and at one point passes out. As he's the only one that's left that's got a gun, because Samuel Jackson spent all his bullets. Samuel Jackson can't get to a gun. Jennifer Jason Leigh sees that, takes Kurt Russell's arm, and tries to get to a gun, but she can't. So she grabs a knife and chops Kurt Russell's arm off, because she doesn't have the key anymore. Samuel Jackson took the key and threw it in the furnace. She now chops Kurt Russell's arm off. Okay? Then 99 Cent Store Rick Grimes comes back to and blasts her in the fucking stomach, and now she's dying a slow death before they decide to string her up. And as they stringing her up, she's got Kurt Russell's arm attached to her as she's swinging, and there's a shot at some point, because Dollar Store Rick, because Samuel Jackson reportedly has a letter from Lincoln that turns out to be bullshit, but he uses it to try to his advantage, because the Old West and people are racist as fuck, so he tries to use that to his advantage. And it works. Gets him on the stagecoach, right? So at one point, Dollar Store Rick Grimes, who up until now has been super fucking racist, but since Samuel Jackson's the only one that's kind of helping to keep him alive and keep both of them alive, like, he's totally cool with him now. So he gets the letter. Samuel Jackson gives him the letter as they're both sitting there dying, watching Jennifer Jason Leigh's body swing back and forth. There's a line in there about hand in hand, long way to go, and in that hand in hand shot, Tarantino makes sure that we see Jennifer Jason Leigh's hand chained to Kurt Russell's hand, which was a nice little touch. See her swinging. I'm back at the house already. Yeah, this movie is bloody as fuck. It is bloody as all fucking get out. It is gruesome as all fucking get out. I would, in fact, recommend seeing this movie if you're into that sort of thing. If you listen. If you watch Django, to me, the story wasn't as compelling as, say, Django. It wasn't as compelling as a lot of other Tarantino movies, like Inglourious Basterds or whatever, because I'm not a huge Westerns fan. I'm not a fan of that genre in general. But this movie was well executed. The acting was done very well. I think I gave the trailer 15 out of my $15. Watching the movie, the cons were that it was 10 to 15 minutes too long and really slow at some points. I understand why it was slow. trying to iron out the pacing or whatever, but it didn't need to be three hours long. Tarantino's whole thing was he didn't want to do it in digital, he wanted to do it in 70 millimeter and an original film. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, listen, the whole point of movies and telling a story like that, and the film and the digital film, and the whole point of 70 millimeter when it came out, and whatever other film that you're using, is to make the picture look as good as you possibly can. Alright? Like, that's the whole point. It's like you assholes who are like, oh, records sound better. Dad, stop jerking yourselves off. No one gives a fuck. Stop it. It's not as important as you think it is. So, that little point doesn't mean anything. Too long. The story was not as compelling as other stories, but once it ramped up, it was compelling. So, I'm going to give The Hateful Eight out of my $15. I think it officially earns... For the cons, mixed in, I'm going to say $12.75 on my $15. Not a perfect movie. And again, a bit too long, but when it does hit, it hits. That's my opinion of The Hateful Eight, spoiler edition. Now, back home, I'm about to do the non-spoiler edition for all you people who want to know what I think, but, you know, don't want to hear all the spoilers. Now, if you have heard the spoilers, you can go watch the movie. You can watch it again if you want to, if you feel like killing 3 hours. It's not a terrible way of killing 3 hours. You just got to get through the first 15 minutes. And once you do, it rolls. It works. The surprises work. Deaths work. They come out of fucking nowhere. You don't see them coming. Like I said, it works when it works, and it works much more than it doesn't. And it's a good. He takes a lot of interesting decisions with it. If you're into westerns, like I'm not totally into westerns, and I still gave it $12.75 out of 15. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. Party people, tell me what you think down there in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe. Go to youtube.com/Sherrill469. Go to the right-hand side. There's a little blue button that says support. You'll be supporting, and that ain't bad. I still have the camera in my hand, so I can't do it. So boom, boom, boom.
Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch.